Okay, hello fam. Welcome to another segment again with Emmy John. One more time again, thank you for your subscription. Thank you for your continuous presence. Thank you for following me up. Thank you for being a blessing, not just to me, but to everyone around you, because I'm sure that most of the things you are learning, you are getting to apply them. Okay, without wasting so much time today, we are going to be looking at something very much interesting. Triton substitution, and how do we use Triton sub? You must have heard about Triton sub, right? So today we're going to be expressing and explaining Triton sub. So I'm going to give just a little example on Triton substitution. Okay, welcome back to today's piano lesson with Emmy John. I want to say congratulations to you, no matter the part of the world you are watching from. God bless you. Thank you for following up. Let's go back to what we usually do. Have you subscribed to my channel? If you have not, please click the subscribe button. Very much important. And don't forget to click share. Share this video till all pianists all over the world get to watch this video. There's something so exciting and extraordinary and uncommon about this lesson today that I wanted to grasp. Thank you so much, and God bless you. And don't forget, our 6 months ongoing piano training is still going on for just 5,000 naira monthly. Join in before the price increases. 6 months intensive piano training is built up to change your mindset, change the way you play keys, and change the perspective through which you see keys. Thank you, and God bless you as you sign up. Okay, today we're going to be talking about Triton sub. I'm sure you have heard of Triton sub. When we were in school, when we were talking about Triton sub, I was like, God, what is Triton sub? Until I came to understand what Triton sub is. And so you will get to understand today. And many of you who already know it, there's something, there's a light that is coming your way, which I'm about to introduce to you. What is Triton substitution, basically? Now, let me break it down from the least topic, and then we take it up to Triton, and before we talk about substitution. In the key of C, our major scale basically is this. While our minor scale is this. Minor scale. You should be able to know this on all keys. For each major, there is a minor scale, and you have to know it. It is very much important. Okay, for Triton substitution, we're going to start from the basics. What is a tritone? We can't talk about tritone without talking about dominant chords. And we all know when we're talking about dominant chord, we're talking about 7th chords. I'm not going to be too theoretical so that everybody can come home. I'm going to bring the concept very simple, bring it home so that everybody can understand. Triton sum basically is substituting a dominant for another dominant related to it. So when I talk about Triton substitution, we are talking about relativity. We are talking about relativity basically. So when we talk about Triton sub, we're talking about relativity, how to relate one note to another. Now, we know that a tritone is an interval of sharp 5, an interval of 6 notes, which is from the key of C, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. It's called a tritone interval. So that's basically what we'll talk about when we talk about tritone. So when we talk about tritone, basically, we're certainly talking about the interval of 1 and the flattened 5, or the sharp 5, or augmented fourth, basically. So that's what we mean by tritone interval. Tritone interval. We can't talk about tritone without talking about dominant chord, because all tritones are formed, or they are the skeletons of a dominant chord. So let's go back to what a dominant chord is. A dominant chord in the key of C is one that's made up of the root, the third or major third, the perfect fifth, and flat 7. So minor 7. So therefore, for a dominant chord, we have the presence of the root, the major third, the perfect fifth, and the minor 7. If you're looking for a lesson on this, please scroll back to my YouTube lesson. I think it's going to appear on the screen. The lesson we have talked about dominant chord. But if it's not yet on the screen, please scroll down to my lessons under piano lessons. You'll be able to find dominant chords, even find tritone. Thank you and God bless. Okay, so now, when we hold a dominant chord, the skeleton of this chord is called the ditones, or the guide tones, which are E and B flat. E and B flat become the skeleton, and therefore becomes the tritone. So you see the interval. The interval between E and B flat is called a tritone, because it's made up of the 1 and the flattened fifth, or augmented fourth, from E. So let's bring it back to C. So when we hold a note such as C, the tritone will be G flat. How do we find the tritone? So we use the interval of a sharpened fourth, or a diminished fifth. So this is called an interval of a tritone. So basically on the tritone, we're looking at 1 and the flat fifth. Let's use another key. In the key of B, the tritone from B will be F major, because it is the flattened fifth from B. So B becomes 1, basically. So this is it. So the fifth of B is G flat. So when G flat is being diminished by 1, we have F. So that's how to form tritone. Therefore, another exercise you can do to be the tritone is be able to do this. Basically this, moving in tritones. So this is how tritones are formed. Now, what are tritone substitution? When we talk about tritone substitution, we are talking about substituting a dominant chord for another dominant chord. Bear in mind that for each dominant chord, tritones are the skeleton. So example, in the key of C, the tritone for C is G flat. So therefore, if I'm to play a chord of C7, and I want to try to substitute it, or I want to substitute it with tritone, I will use G flat 7. So this chord and this chord plays the same role. So C7 and G flat 7 plays the same role. The question is why? Because they share the same guide tones. Look at this carefully. Watch this carefully. C7 is made up of C, E, G, and B flat. When we look at G flat 7 also, or dominant 7 chord, we have G flat, B flat, D flat, and E. So we have the same notes of C minor 7 and C major 7. C major third found in that interval. So it becomes the 7 and the third is the same 7 and third found in G flat. It means that they share the same tritone. The only difference is the root notes. So it means that whenever I want to play C7 chord, I can substitute it for F sharp 7. So that's what we call tritone substitution. That's what we call tritone substitution, basically. So now, let me do a very simple example. Let me use a very simple example. I'm doing 1 to the 6, to the 2, to the 5, and then basically ending to the 1. So again, 1 to the 6, to the 2, to the 5. So what am I doing basically, or where am I going to substitute to give me the tritone sub? So we found out that when we're talking about dominant chords, in every diatonic scale, the 5 is always the dominant. Bear in mind, For every diatonic scale, the 5 is dominant. Why? Let's use the key of C as an example. C is always 1, major. D is always 2, minor. E is always 3, minor. F is always 4, major. 5 is always dominant, which is major, but the 7 chord is a dominant chord. The 6 is a minor, while the 7 is a minor 7 flat 5, which is a diminished 7 or half diminished chord. And then back to the 1, which is a major 7 chord, basically. I hope you're following me. So basically, from this concept now, we find out that the 5 chord is always a dominant chord. Therefore, I can substitute my 5 for its tritone. So in the key of C, the 5 will be G. So if the 5 is G, the tritone sub for G, what's the tritone of G? We calculate it. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Becomes D flat. So D flat becomes the tritone of G. So therefore, when I want to play a G dominant 7 chord, I will use D flat dominant chord. Listen to the sound. The sound alike. Same chord. Because they share the same guide tones. The guide tones are the 3rd and 7th of any key. So the 3rd and the 7th of any key is called the guide tone. So we have this. So the 3rd and 7th is this. So G7, the 3rd and 7th becomes B and F. B and F, look at this carefully. In the key of D flat, which is a tritone away. So when I hold D flat 7, I still have the same 3rd and 7 being F and B. Don't forget in G, it was B and F as the 3rd and 7. But in the key of D flat, we still have F and B being the tritone away. That's basically how we know or recognize tritone sub. So basically, meaning that the tritone for G is D flat. Now we can decide to storm our mind a bit by trying it differently. What's the tritone for C? It will be G flat. The tritone for A flat will be D. The tritone for B flat will be E. The tritone for A flat will be D. Tritone for D will be A flat. Tritone for F will be B. Tritone for A will be E flat. Tritone for B will be F. Tritone for E will be B flat. Basically, these are how we get to master the act of tritone and how to recognize them any point in time in our playing. You must get to a point whereby you can be able to recognize them even without playing them. They are so much important. Okay, so continuing from here, we're now basically looking at how do we substitute them for one another. So basically, what you can discover today is that when you want to substitute a chord, especially when it comes to tritone, it is only in dominant chord. Somebody might ask, so let's say I'm playing 1, 6, 2, 5, 1. So somebody might ask, so does it mean when I'm playing my cis, can't I substitute that cis? Now, when I want to substitute the C, so it becomes the tritone for A will be E flat. So we can do, it can work, but it will sound a bit out of context. Because when substituting in tritones, we look at basically dominant chord, except if I want to do so it can work when actually I'm thinking dominant. So I could do this. basically it could work when I'm thinking dominant. But if not dominant, for a minor chord, no, it will sound out. So I must be thinking dominant for each chord. Let's say I want to play, and I want to play the 2. I can make the 2 a dominant, so therefore I can substitute it. What's the substitution for D, which is 2 in the key of C? The tritone will be what? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Will be A flat. So therefore I can do A flat. So again. So one more time again. So I'm only just doing an inversion. Basically, I'm just doing. These chords are very important if you must sound unique and peculiar, especially using the dominant feeling. So when you want to do tritone substitution, your choice of voicings are so much important. They are so much important. So because I want to do this for the Cs, I want to do this for the Cs, and I want to substitute with the dominant. So therefore, I'll do E flat 7. So I choose this inversion. Basically, if I do this, I may sound out. If I do this, I may sound out. I need a note inside the key. So I had to invert it to use this. So I have the 5 still inside the key of C to make it to sound a bit diatonic. So I came back. So basically, so that's how tritone substitution work basically. So therefore, now I'm going to teach us how to use 2-5-1s. 2-5-1s. That's basically what many of the jazz musicians we know play using tritone sub. It's very important you must know your 2-5-1s, 2-5-1s, 2-5-1. If you really must be good in application of stuff, especially in chord voicings, then you must master your 2-5-1s, 2-5-1s. So in the key of C, 2. My 5 basically is G, but I want to do tritone sub. So the 5, which is G, the tritone sub for G will become D flat. So I'll do this. So what am I doing? I could either change the root note to D flat. So I could do this. It's coming back to major 9 of C. So I could do this. So minor, D minor, yeah. So D minor 7 to D flat 9, yeah, D flat dominant 9, then resolving down to C major 9. So this again. So this could be a renowned advanced 2-5-1 voicing. So I could still do this again. Yes, one more time again. 2-5. So I brought in the presence of the. So I made a rootless D flat. So I'm just doing basically tritone sub, but it's too powerful when I add in the D flat. So again, let's try in the key of G flat. So it will be this. So I want to do tritone sub, which is basically this. Again, 2. I'm playing the key of B. Because why? This is 2. The 5 is B, G flat. So the tritone for G flat is C. So I have to play C dominant 7. But I did C9. Basically this. So I did this. So I use a voice leading that will not sound a bit too awkward or out of the key. I have to bring it in. So you see the color? Yeah, so I did this. One more time again. So that's how it works. So in the key of E, let's say we're playing the key of E. Let's try it randomly like that. Let's begin random. So in the key of E, so the 5 will be B, and the tritone of B is F. So basically I'm doing one more time again. So I'm just basically doing F9 basically. Yeah. Let's try the key of D flat. In the key of D flat itself, so we'll have these two. We can do this because the tritone of with the 5 will be A flat. So the 5 of A flat will be D. So instead of doing I could do this again. So what am I doing? So I'm doing, let me the key of D to spell it out, the key of C sharp to spell it out. So I'm doing the 2, my 2 will be E flat on my left hand with, you can make it anyhow you want, you can do anyhow. So but basically I do this a lot. So I'm doing, let's say I'm doing a so what voicing. So I'm doing, I'm holding down E flat so what, which is E flat and B flat on the left hand. On the right hand, I'm holding down D flat, G flat, and B flat on the right hand. And then I'm resolving down to D9, rootless D9. So D9 will be made up of C, E, G flat, and A. Then my left hand, I have A flat and G flat on the left hand. Then resolving down to C sharp. I could still do this. So basically this. Yes. Then if I want to improvise over this kind of movement, yeah. So I could do this. Something like this can work also as well. Why? I'm thinking dominant, dominant. So I'm doing the key of D. That's how basically I tend to improvise over this. So let me explain a part of improvisation of what I was doing. I will have another lesson again, maybe next week or more, where we'll focus more on this improvisation tip. How do I improvise over chord changes, especially stuff like this? So if you want to improvise more, then you must be able to understand stuff like this, tritone sub, because they allow you to think outside the key. If you notice now, I'm playing outside. So I could do something like this. So what am I doing? I'm just doing basically the 2 of E flat, which is E flat minor. Basically I'm in the key of D flat. So E flat minor, then resolving to E flat 7. So one more time. So basically I'm just playing around. So stuff like that. So 2, 5, and resolving down to the 1. By so I'm playing around tritone sub. So I'm doing 2. This is a tritone sub already because it's sounding like 5. Because the 5 naturally should be G, or to be A flat. So I'm doing the tritone sub for A flat, which is D. So but we said that for tritone sub, it is simply replacing a dominant for another dominant. Not replacing a minor for a minor or a major for a major, but a dominant for another dominant. And it must be a tritone sub away. So basically this, the tritone for the 5 should be this, D. So I did D dominant, then resolving 1 to the 1 major 7. This is like a part of a jazz lesson. So this is basically part of improvisation tip, which will come soon or later as we venture more into this. So let's take it back to where we are in. So Triton sub away, Triton sub. Basically, I've been able to expose you to Triton sub, how it works, how do we use them, what are they all about, and then how do I apply them with simple improvisation tips. So I've broken all those down. Let me give us more complex or more advanced moves in Triton sub. Now we're going to look at how to add a 2 to the 5. So it's like playing a 2-5-1. If you listen to the intro at the beginning of what I played a 2, another 2 before the 5. So that is called, I've forgotten the actual name is called, but adding the 2 to the 5. 2 before the 5 and before the actual 5, then resolving to the 1. It may sound a bit bogus or bulky, but trust me, you're going to really love it. So let's go. Let's get back to the key of C. So in the key of C, if I've not done your pentatonic scale exercise as I did last week, please do well to go back and work on them. They are very much important. Okay, so basically now we're going to look at the 2 resolving down to the 5. So if this is automatically our 5, there's a 2 before the 5. Before we're resolving down to the 1. Basically in Triton sub, we have said 2 to the dominant to the 1, right? So basically maybe sooner or later we'll learn how to play also working bass. About this sooner or later again, so that you can have a touch of jazz in your play. So I love this topic so much. So we're going to dwell here. Don't forget, don't skip this video. Have you subscribed to this video yet? Please do it to subscribe to this video if you really must enjoy fully this content. Subscribe this video, turn on the notification option, share this video, invite more people to join. Thank you so much and God bless you. So let's go to the 2 and the actual 2 before the 5 and then resolving to the 1. So if this is my 2 now, so I do this E minor 9, D minor 9. Then, if this is our 5, so I'm playing now, I'm basically playing my 2. And then I'm playing a 2 before the 5. Then resolving to the 1. Again, 2, 2, 5, 1. Again, 2, 2, 5, 1. So one more time again. We're gonna learn it together. So 2, 2, 5, 1. This is my story. This is my song. We can do Triton sub for this. So under the law, this is my story. This is my song. The blessing my Savior. All that day long. Again, blessing my Savior. So again, one more time, I did this 2, 2, 5, 1. So 2, 2, 5, 1. So one more time again, 2, 2, 5, 1. Now let me explain where am I coming from with this concept and where am I going to with this concept. So I'm playing the key of C, and my 2 actually is D, and I was supposed to resolve to the 5, but I did a tritone sub, which is replacing this dominant for another dominant, which is the tritone away, which is D flat. I took D flat to become a 5. So if D flat is my 5, it's like 5 to 1, 5 to 1. So automatically I'm in the key of G flat. So the key of G flat, this is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So I did 2, 5, resolving to the 1, 2, 5. So I went to the key of G flat now, and I did 2, 5. So my 2 becomes this. I could do any 2, any 2, any 2. So 2, any 2 basically. So I did these 2. Let's say I did these 2, minor 9. So and then resolving down to the 5, which is my tritone sub where I'm going to, and then resolving back to 1, my original key, which is C. So again 2, 5, 1. So let's use another song again for example. Let me spell out the note before we use a song for example. So I'm doing this. So I'm playing A flat minor 9. So basically I'm doing an open voicing instead of a closed voicing. Open voicing. So I'm doing A flat on the left hand with G flat on the right hand. Sorry, A flat and G flat on the left hand. On my right hand I'm holding B, E flat, B flat. Again B, E flat and D flat as my 2, which is my supposed 2 before the actual 5. So my 5 becomes our regular tritone sub for G, which becomes C sharp or D flat 9. So I'm holding down D flat and the 3rd, which is my F, with B, E flat, F and A flat. Then resolving down to C major 9. So basically to do this I do 2, 2, 5, 1. Again 2, 2, 5, 1. One more time again. 2, 2, 5, 1. I'm going to do this exercise on all keys, and I want you to do this on all keys, similar as we did with the former exercise. We're going to do this on all keys. Okay, so in the key of C, we have 2, 2, 5, 1. In the key of F, so let's go in circle of fourths. In the key of F, we have 2, 2, 5, 1. In the key of B flat, we have our 2, then 2, 5, 1. It's very powerful, very interesting. In the key of, in the key of A flat, in the key of E flat, we have 2, then 5, 1. In the key of A flat, we have our 2, 2, 5, 1. In the key of D flat, we have our 2, then 2, 5, 1. In the key of G flat, we have our 2, then 2, 5, 1. In the key of B, we have our 2, then 2, 5, 1. Okay, so in the key of E, we have our 2, 2, 5. Sorry again. We have our 2, 2, 5, 1. You must have to stretch your hand to base 10. Then in the key of A, we have our 2, then 2, 5, 1. Yeah. One more time again. We have our 2 again in the key of A, 2, 2, 5, 1. In the key of D, we have our 2, 2, 5, 1. Again, in the key of D, we have our 2, 2, 5, 1. Then in the key of G, finally, we have these 2, 2, 5, 1. So in the key of G again, we have 2, 2, 5, 1. And further in the key of C, we have our 2, 2, 5, 1. Again, 2. Yeah, 2, 5. It's very much important you work on this. Very powerful, very, very much important. It will change the way you see things. And imagine I want to do a 5-1-4 progression. Yes, like our regular saw do fa a song going to 4. So what I use now? Na ra na ra. So I want to do a 4 progression. So meaning that I'm going to the key of F, which is a 4, to do a 2 and then do a tritone sub, a 2 before the actual 5, then resolving down to the 1. It's sounding funny, right? So basically I'm doing this. Na, ra, na, ra. Something like this. Again, so I'm doing 2, 3. So na, ra, na, ra. I'm sure you have heard colors like this. When combined together, it gives a powerful color. So, na re ke le mo. See how it sounded? 2, 2, 5, 1. Very, very powerful. Apply it to your playing and see how things around you begin to sound a bit more interesting, more powerful, and more sweet. Thank you so much. God bless you. I want you to be able to apply this in your playing. And don't forget to experience more stuff, even more advanced than this. Join our ongoing 6 months intensive piano training. It's really going to change your perspective, really going to build you, really going to help your mindset, your music mindset.